Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about this week's NCAA college football game of the week, it's Georgia versus Mississippi State. So, what do you think about that? Our host, Mr. Vincent Turner.
Well, let me say this. The great state of Mississippi is going to have the number one ranked team that's going to come down to Stockville, Mississippi. See, people that's watching us today here on 100 Yards Football, if you've never been to Stockville, Mississippi, it's a kind of a very unusual place. One way in and one way out. So everything is centered around the school. What I like about the school, the stadium, which is Scott Field, that seats about 60,000, is right in the middle of the campus. And the thing when you think about Mississippi State football history, if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan going down on the weekend, you got to think about John Bond, Walter Packer, Rocky Felker, D.D. Lewis, Jimmy Webb, Johnny Cooks, all the great players, Fred Smoot, that played at Mississippi State back in one time or another. And the thing that I'm going to be looking at is the crowd noise, especially how the Georgia fans were loud this past weekend against Tennessee in that big number 1, number 3 matchup. Are they going to allow the Mississippi State fans to bring them cowbells? And them cowbells get very, very loud. But let's get to the football game. I'm going to start with the Georgia Bulldogs. As I just mentioned in our previous video, recapping the Tennessee and Georgia game, it's nothing more that you can say about this Georgia football team. They're clicking on all cylinders. Strong on the defensive side of the ball, strong on the offensive side of the ball. The only thing in this football game that I'm looking at Georgia is not having success is them stopping themselves. Right now, to me, they got the best player in the country in Stetson Bennett. Right now, 2,600 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 INTs. All you got to do is look what he did last Saturday against Tennessee. 257, 2 touchdowns, accounted for another. Right now, the offense is rocking. And then defensively, I don't have to say no more. This is a Mississippi State team that the Georgia defense probably likes seeing because we know Mississippi State throws the ball a lot. Well, I'm going to tell you this. It's going to be a lot of NFL money out there to be made. With the Georgia pass rush, Jalen Carter, you made a lot of money against Tennessee. Now you can kind of take that bonus up, but maybe a first-round pick. And then in the Georgia secondary, Kelly Ringo, I see NFL money, coverage. And think about this that I didn't mention about the Georgia football team. On last Saturday against Tennessee, they're coming into this game defensively without their best player, their second best player, Nolan Smith, who's a first-round NFL draft prospect. Kirby Smart is going to keep it short and simple. Todd Monken is going to see the weaknesses of Mississippi State. And Georgia, as they always do with DeJuan Edwards, Kenny McIntosh, now Kendall Milton is healthy now. All they're going to do is pound the football. And defensively, it's all about, we can say now, Georgia can rush the passer. Now the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Very simple to me. You know what their head coach Mike Leach likes to do? He likes to throw it every down. That's the game plan in Mississippi State. And I bring up a very important stat here. Dylan Johnson has 417 yards rushing this year. So the state likes to run the ball a little bit. And Jaquarius Marks, local kid out of the Metro Atlanta area, went to Carver High School, has 337 yards, but he has 7 total touchdowns. And then you look at the Mississippi State receiving corps. Roy Thomas is a very good football player. Caleb Duncan is a very good football player. Both of them got over 30 receptions on the year. Then you got Rock Harvey, another guy that's got over 30 receptions on the year. So, you know Mississippi State loves to spread the ball. Will Rogers on the year, he's got almost 2,900 yards throwing this year. He's a guy that when you look at him and think about this, as I mentioned, 2,900 yards passing, his 26 touchdowns. The most important stat that sticks out to me is that in the 3 games that Mississippi State has lost, which has been to LSU, to Alabama, and Kentucky, he's thrown for under 210 yards in those 3 games. Bottom line, coming up Saturday night down in Stockville, 7 p.m. kickoff, the nation is going to be watching. Georgia's defense is how they're going to be able to control Will Rogers. If Will Rogers has one of them games under 200 yards passing, I can tell you right now the dogs are going to roll big. And I think that's what's going to happen. Based on the performance that Georgia showed against Tennessee last Saturday up in Athens, Georgia, I'm not going to bet with the dogs because I think they got the best coach in the country in Kirby Smart. I see Georgia rolling in this game very easy. Georgia 35, Mississippi State 14. If you like the video today, as I said, please come in and share it. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Jeremiah Long here on 100 Yards of Football.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Turner, I know the amount of time that you put into every one of these games, thinking it through, thinking about what the fans are thinking about, and thinking about what it is that people will want to know about this game. So, thank you so much for all the work that you put in every single week. And to our fans, we want to hear from you. Who do you think will win the game? What do you think will be the final score? And what do you think are the keys to winning that game? We definitely want to hear from you. And if you're watching our live show, thank you so much. But if you're listening to our podcast, thank you again. But if you're not, come and join us. We love our podcast listeners. We have incredible listeners on every single platform, including on Spotify, including on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and more. So anywhere you love listening to podcasts, come and join us. Just look up 100 Yards of Football. Well, thank you so much to Mr. Vincent Turner for that in-depth coverage of the upcoming game between Georgia and Mississippi State. I am your producer, Jeremiah Long, and we'll be back with another live episode right after this. See you soon.